My name is Rachel Norton. I'm an occupational therapist, and I'll explain what that is in the presentation. And I work at IU Health Bloomington Rehabilitation and Sports Medicine Center, which was formerly known as Rebound. How many people are familiar with Rebounds here in town? They took away our name, but they didn't take away us. So we're still our Rebound. And I work mostly with adult population, people who've had an orthopedic injury or a neurological injury like a head injury or a stroke. And I also do home assessments. I also do driving evaluations, and I'll explain some of that later on. So this morning's my favorite month of the year is two, actually. I love October, but I also love July because it's my birthday month. Who doesn't love their birthday month, right? Okay, we can. So what is an occupational therapist? I get asked this all the time. Everybody knows what a physical therapist is, what a speech therapist is. Occupational, we are healthcare professionals trained to assess a person's ability to perform an activity. Anything that occupies your time, that's where we got our name. And so what occupies your time is just about anything we do during the day. We look at the activity, the person, and the environment in which the activity is performed. So, why do we look at home assessments? There's no place like home. 80% of people 50 plus own their own home. 84% want to remain. Who wants to remain in their current home until, we all do, right? And then 83% want to remain in their existing community. I certainly don't want to leave Bloomington in any soon time, so I think that's true with most people. Only 16%, though, of homeowners have made modifications so you can be comfortable and safe in your home. The industry calls this, in the industry I mean occupational therapists, but also the home construction industry calls this aging in place. It's our key word. But most of our homes aren't ready. Where do falls occur? You can see by the graph that most falls occur in the home, some outside the home, and by outside the home we mean like out in the yard, and then only 22% away from home. Common areas where people fall: bathroom, stairs, entry and exiting, kitchen, bedroom, garage, just basically just about everywhere in your home, right? I do want to say, if you have any questions at all or can't hear me, just raise your hand. We'll just talk as we go through this. One size doesn't fit all. We can't just go in and say, we'll just modify a home because this is the right way to do it. Each individual has different needs, has different abilities, and has different environments in which they perform their activities. So types of home modifications: removing hazards, adding special features, moving items or furnishings, changing how and where activities take place, or renovating or changing the structure. That's the most expensive part, of course. So removing hazards: taking away throw rugs, electrical cords. When I was doing, I do driving evaluations in a small room at my clinic. And I have a computer and I have a computer cord. And it took me a couple of months of doing that and stepping over that cord before I thought, all right, and I just shifted where I plugged it in and put the cord so it was out of the way. A lot of times when we get into habits and we're doing things, we don't even think about it. Another thing that I did is I had throw rugs in my house, although every time I did a home assessment, I told people to take their throw rugs out because they're tripping. Mine stayed there until I tripped over it, almost fell, and now I don't have throw rugs in my house anymore. Unnecessary clutter, which basically after we've lived 40, 50 years in a home is just there. And small animals. How many have a small dog that you have tripped over, countless times? Adding special features could be like enhancing the lighting, putting more lights in. Using lever handles on doors. Do you know what a lever handle is? Instead of a round doorknob, it's that where you just push down. When you have arthritis in the hands, it's just an easier way to open the door. Grab bars, handheld shower, tub seats, raised commodes. Those are things that keep us safer and keep us from falling. Moving items or furnishings. This would be to make a more clear path. Have you ever rearranged your living room and it's like, wow, now I can get from there to the kitchen a lot easier? Look at traffic patterns. Make sure there's no large furniture pieces to maneuver around, like in a hallway. And remove unnecessary furnishings. Dining room chairs that you're not using, kitchen chairs that aren't used can be put away. Renovating or changing the structure would include installing ramps, installing stair rails. Some homes don't have stair rails on both sides. Removing glass shower doors, which when there's a fall in the shower could be quite dangerous. Remodeling bathrooms with a walk-in type shower. Installing a stair lift or enlarging door openings to allow for walkers. In older homes, our door openings were real narrow, and when somebody starts using a walker, they're kind of going sideways in, which isn't as safe. Reasons why people don't make modifications. You can't do it yourself, can't afford it. You might not trust home contractors. Who do you call to have them come into your home? You don't know how to make the changes, don't have anyone to do it for you, and think that they would not look nice in the home. So we designed at IU Health Bloomington Rehab and Sports Medicine, formerly known as Rebound, we designed a new program called Home Safe Home. This is the kind of the handout I gave you. And the bottom name on this handout is Lori Allen, and she's the one that's kind of heading up the program. However, any occupational therapist at our site can do a home safe home assessment. So we go through and do an assessment of the home, as well as recommendations of equipment needs or possible modifications. So we come in with tape measures, with chalk, with tape to mark off like where we think a grab bar should be to be the safest place. And it's for anyone who's interested in living independently in their home as they age and or as they adapt to an injury or a disease process. It's also beneficial for caregivers and for children of aging parents. The program is divided into two options. Option one would just be an evaluation of the physical living space and see how the individual's home is accessed and general safety. Option two would be a more in-depth assessment of the individual's physical function and the actual performance of the activities of daily living. So when I go, I might have someone step in and out of their shower to see if they're doing it safely, get on and off the toilet, in and out of bathrooms, up and down stairs. Option one, we don't bill, doesn't require a physician's order. Option two is based on medical need, which is most of the ones we do are this, and requires a physician's order, which is not hard to ask your doctor for. It can be billed through insurance, but payment by insurance, of course, is not guaranteed. Yes?
You say option one is not billed, does that mean there is a bill and you just don't bill insurance?
Correct. It's not billed through insurance, yes. So we have an occupational therapy evaluation as well as a home assessment. A written report is given to the physician as well as the participant. So some examples. Recent fall with injury, recent diagnosis of Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. You want to assess the home and look at it through the eyes of the person with dementia. What can injure that person? What areas are dangerous for that person? So you want to lock or disguise hazardous areas. You can do that by maybe there's a door to the basement and you don't want that person to go down. Maybe hang a curtain over the door, looks like a mirror, or a blanket down. Be prepared. Have emergency numbers where they can be seen and easily accessed. Make sure safety devices are working. Fire extinguishers, smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, which we just recently got one in our home. Install locks out of sight. So deadbolts up high or down low. You want to keep keys hidden, maybe outside, in case the person locks themselves in or locks themselves out, locks you out. You might want to remove bathroom or bedroom locks so the person couldn't lock themselves in a room. Keep hallways well lit. I did a home assessment on someone, and they had the most clever thing. Has anyone seen those lights where you can touch them and the light comes on? We'll put them under cupboards or in closets. What she did is she lined her hallway down from her bedroom to her bathroom. So she got up during the night. Instead of hitting it, turn it on, she could hit it with her foot. It was just real easy for her to tap her foot and turn on the light. Thought it was a great idea. Or just have lamps and lights in hallways, especially bedroom, bathroom, or hallway and bathroom.
They can have motion detector lights too.
That's another excellent idea. This doesn't maybe apply to everyone, but some people do have guns. Remove or disable guns or other weapons. And again, this is an example of knowing who the person is that you're caregiving for. Is this, are there guns in the house? Is this person, do they sometimes have angry episodes? You want to protect them and protect others. Put medications in a locked cabinet or drawer so they can't be taken mistakenly. And I don't know, I'll just say this because Mary, I don't know if anyone from Red Cross comes, but Red Cross has a really unique drug dispenser unit. Have you heard of this? We had Red Cross come to our work site and talked about this. A registered nurse sets it up, and it's a dispenser. It sits about this big, maybe about this size. The cost is $75 a month. When you think about this, isn't really much in the big scheme of things, but it dispenses the medication at the set time. So the medication comes out, and it's exactly what they're supposed to take at 9 a.m. after breakfast. And then at noon, the noon dose comes out, supper, evening dose comes out. If the person doesn't take the dose off, then a light starts flashing. If that still doesn't take the dose off, then a sound starts coming, and if it's been an hour and a half, the medicine goes back in. When the medicine goes back in, then they're alerted, just like the lifeline. So then they start calling the people to go to the house and say, so it's almost like having like a lifeline, only it wouldn't be as quick. But if there is a fall, if somebody forgot, then you know. If there's a change in medication, then the RN from Red Cross just comes out and resets the machine. So I thought, you know, I have it in the back of my head for my father, is just not a bad idea. It really isn't. Remove tripping hazards, all those things on the floor. So think about, most of the people here are healthy and able-bodied. But think about if I wasn't, like if I was walking and my feet shuffled more, would I catch on that rug? Would I catch on that lip from the living room into the kitchen? Would I catch on this carpet or this little ottoman that, you know, I can go around but isn't as easy for someone else to? Watch the temperature of water and food. Does anyone go in and check the refrigerators? When we do a safe home assessment, we open the refrigerator and we look for spoiled food, and we check expiration dates. Sometimes my daughter comes over to my house and starts doing that, and then you're as bad as Grandma, look at this. That gets a little embarrassing. So watch for the temperature of food in the refrigerator, and then watch for temperature of water. I think our water heaters should only be at 120 degrees, but just watch for that, because especially as sensation decreases, a lot of times you don't feel the heat from that water. And then support the needs.
Young children too.
Exactly. Support the needs of the individual. The home should encourage independence and social interaction. It shouldn't be just barren, but you have to have a balance there. So in conclusion, people are more comfortable in their own homes, right? They have established social networks in their own communities. The cost of living in facilities can be far greater, both monetarily and socially, than living in your own home. So even if you think a home modification of a walk-in shower, boy, that costs several thousand, but to think of going to a home, the cost over 5 years is a lot more than that. Make sure your home is ready for you to live as you age. So since hearing this and talking about this, I have gotten rid of a lot of my clutter. I have made my home very efficient. I'm dealing also with aging parents and siblings of mine who have had to go into the home and clear out things and make things in the home safer. We're dealing with those things too. So, are there any questions about this? As long as there's occupational therapists in a community working, then home assessments are available. We learn this in school, so it shouldn't be. And if you're wondering about that, just call the local hospital and ask. And they should be able to say, here's the OT department, here's an OT to talk to, yes, we can do. If you wanted to do that through insurance and have that billed through insurance, you just need a doctor's order. So you would just go to the primary caregiver. Most of the physicians in town know us. They know that OTs do home assessments. So this wouldn't be something that they would say, what are you talking about? They would know. We would have to have a diagnosis on the script, but most of the physicians would be able to come up with something like that. If there's not a diagnosis of, say, dementia or Parkinson's, a lot of time there's weakness, there was a prior stroke, something like that would qualify. And then the doctor's office would just send that script to our scheduling department, and they would call the person and set that up. And most of these can be done within a few weeks. Now, the process might take a little longer. We might go back into the home and check on modifications, especially if you wanted to hire someone. We have several people that we recommend that we know have done some good things, so we have some resources for that too. If finances are a problem, there is someone through Area 10 who volunteers their labor. I want to touch on something else that I do in my profession, myself, and there's another occupational therapist. We do community mobility evaluations, and that's evaluating someone's driving ability. There's been a lot of research in the last 10 to 20 years on driving, who should drive, when we should retire from driving. So our evaluation is based on research, evidence-based, and recommendations of the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration. We do an in-clinic evaluation where we look at vision, physical, and cognitive skills. It takes about an hour and a half, and then we do an evaluation in the car, a road test, if the person passes the in-clinic. We do those. That's also based on a doctor's prescription, and sometimes it's easier when you have someone outside the family that's telling the person they need to retire from driving than if you have to be the one to say it. And sometimes doctors like to do that because the doctor has to maintain that relationship with that patient for a lot longer than we do. So we understand when people become angry, we understand how hard it is. We also look at alternatives, and we're open to doing training for alternative mobility in the community, and also just giving advice on that. We also work with Dana. She comes to our facility, and she kind of steps in and also helps at the end when we're telling someone it's time to retire from driving. So it's a good program. If you have any questions about that, I'm the contact person for that. Or you can talk to your physician in the community. A lot of them know and refer to us, so they're aware of what we do. We do not take away a license because only the state can do that, but we do make our recommendations to the Indiana Bureau of Motor Vehicle. A lot of times the license just becomes invalid for medical reasons, and then when it expires, they can go. Some people choose then to take their loved one to the BMV, turn over the license. Sometimes the physical act of doing that is, more impactful. And then they also, they'll do a state-issued ID. Because we all need picture IDs. Every time you go to the doctor's office, you have to turn one in now. So the BMV will do that. But the Alzheimer's organization website is full of information. It is amazing. They have some really good videos on talking to someone about retiring from driving. They have excellent resources on how to keep that person, how to take away car keys, how to disable cars. The best way to do it is to be in touch with either me or with Dana, because there's ways to handle and do this that are just kinder and make more peace in the family. You can go on the resource. They do have those videos, like I said, and ways to introduce this conversation. And maybe talk to the physician. Physicians here in town monitor people with early onset dementia. There was I just recently went to a driving conference in August, and this year they did a position paper where they had people, representatives from National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration, physicians, occupational therapists, and driving rehab specialists all met. And they went through all the research that's out there with driving and dementia. And they wrote a position paper, which is like the gold standard in the industry. And the position paper said, anyone with moderate to severe dementia should not drive. Just flat out not drive. Not go to a driving evaluation, just not drive. That's the new position paper that's out there. 2 years ago, when I went to one of my first conferences, that was not what was being said. So just rapidly in 2 years, however, that means a family might have to step in and say it, and sometimes that is difficult to do because you're the one that has to continue caring for that person. Sometimes a physician doesn't like to be the one to say it because they need to be a trusted physician for that person. And if that person's going to be angry, sometimes it takes someone like me, who they see one time, I can tell them, and then I'm not the one who's with them, helping them through the rest of the time. So I can be, I guess you can say, the bad cop, and then the family can be the good cop. Or sometimes when Dana comes in, she takes the role of the good cop, the understanding person that helps them decide. The other thing we do with our driving evaluations is not just for people with dementia, but people who've had a stroke or have a weakness type of diagnosis. We have a car now, and we have adaptive equipment, and we can teach and train someone to drive with hand controls or left foot accelerator if the right side of their body is damaged from a stroke. So we can return people to driving, which we also do. So sometimes we say retire from driving, but we also say return to driving, and we can teach those skills. Right now, today, Medicare will cover a driving evaluation cost if the diagnosis lends you to the belief that the person can return to driving, like a head injury, a stroke, Parkinson's, some of those diagnoses. If the diagnosis is debilitating, such as dementia, then no, they don't cover. So the National Highway Traffic and Safety Administration, along with occupational therapists, the Association of Aging, and AARP, developed a program. They wanted to see, they did it first as a pilot to see if it worked, wanted to see how we could be safer in our cars. So they developed this CarFit program. I'm a trained instructor in it, so I teach it to OTs at my national conference. And we hold 1 to 2 events a year. We're holding an event in October in Owen County. This is for anybody. Just to
Carpet.
CarFit. CARFIT.
Sounds like carpet, isn't it?
No. CarFit.
Is it one word or two?
It's actually one word.
Okay.
You can look it up, you can Google it, and they'll tell you about it. There's a 20-point checklist. 12-point. Takes about 20 minutes, and a therapist sits with you, you sit in the car. There's no information given. Well, we have a waiver, but that doesn't go to any national. But we do anonymously send information to the national so that they can give that to car industry, because the car industry is very interested in this. But what we look at is seatbelt fit, where you're positioned away from the airbags, how the steering wheel is positioned. There's all kinds of research out there that how to have that steering wheel safe, that you can see over the top of it, that you can see the speedometer, that your feet reach, that the seatbelt reaches. This is the one thing that people will often say, I didn't know that. You know, people don't like the seatbelt because it comes up on your neck here. Most cars, newer cars, the seatbelt drops down on the door and then it fits. A lot of people come in and they say, I don't wear my seatbelt, or I wear it under my arm, and they don't even realize that. We don't touch the car, but we give instruction. Here's how to, bring the steering wheel down so it's at a better position. Here's how to bring the seatbelt down. There's a way to adjust the outside rear view mirrors to get rid of blind spot and glare elimination. You know how you're driving at night and that car behind you hits that side view mirror? There's a method of positioning those so that you lose your blind spot and you lose that glare elimination. As we get older, we are safer drivers, right? You know that you're a lot safer than that 18-year-old who's texting and driving crazy. But we're more frail. The older we get, the more frail our body is. So when there's an accident, we have a higher injury rate and a higher fatality rate. So it's better to be fit and safe in your car. And that's what CarFit is all about. It takes about 20 minutes. It's free. And we do a couple events a year. We're doing one in Owen County, and then sometime in October, 1st of November, I'm still talking with Parks and Rec. We're going to be doing one here in Bloomington at Twin Lakes. Do any of you here know about the senior breakfast that they have at Twin Lakes Sports Complex? Yeah. We're going to present at that at the end of September and talk about CarFit and get a sign up, and then we'll have a date then. And we're going to do at the end of September, and then at that time we'll have a date. And usually where we do it is in the that parking lot by the Twin Lakes ball fields, because that's a big open parking lot. And you drive up at your appointed time, go through the little CarFit, get information. We are in partnership with AAA and Parks and Rec here in town, and that's who we do it with. So it's really interesting. It's very interesting. It has changed the way I drive. I adjusted my mirrors after I went through training, and I don't have a blind spot. Now, as we get older, it's harder to turn around like this, right? But I still turn around, and that's what we recommend, to still turn and look. But I have a second, check and balance here. I have a second, mirror that helps protect me. And so I've been doing it. I also position myself further from the steering wheel, because you should have 10 inches of space between that airbag and your chest. And we have a ruler, get a ruler out, we measure things. So just information like that.
Do you recommend convex mirrors?
For for certain conditions, but just moving those mirrors out catches that. But for some certain visual disturbances, we might do that. So I'd encourage you to come to CarFit. It's really pretty interesting.
And don't be late. You had that program and I got there and I was late. I'm always late.
And we were already gone.
So,
Yes. But we sign up people, and we have a certain time, and then we just move people through. So, and it's fun. It's a fun event. It's free, and you get some information. It's kind of interesting.